Getting out and connecting with people across the state and outside the state has been really good. Getting a chance to meet people. I think I've mentioned to you guys before, the passion and the pride for Penn State is unreal. So to get out into these type of environments where you're interacting with anywhere between 150 and 800 obviously passionate, die-hard alumni and fans is special. And it's probably even more special for me because it means so much to me. And then to stand up in front of 800 people that care about it just as much as I do, it's an interesting, I don't even know how I can explain it, but it's a very emotional experience for me to be in a room packed full of people that care just as much about Penn State as you do. It's kind of unique. Is this my water? Yes. Thank you.
You were saying, James, that it's been very emotional, and I know one of the things at Vanderbilt was players that I had talked to before said, he's not afraid to kind of let his guard down around us, go cry sometimes around them. Has that happened with your Penn State guys yet? Have they kind of seen that part of you?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I think they have to a degree, but I'm a guy that just kind of wears my emotions on my sleeve. I don't try to hide that. That's a big part of who I am. I think a lot of times coaches and people get into this position, they try to tone that back. But I think one of the things that's been helpful for us and been helpful for me in my career is that I've stayed very authentic to who I am. And I think people have appreciated that. I'm not saying that it's the right way to do it for everybody else, but it's the right way for me to do it. And to try to be something I'm not or someone I'm not is not how I want to live my life personally or professionally. So I think sometimes people have a little bit of a hard time interpreting it, but I think more time that we're together, the media, the fans, the people in the community, they'll see that.
When you talk about being a Pennsylvania guy, coaching at Penn State, that seems to be when you kind of get emotional. What does it mean to you to be able to be a PA guy coaching at Penn State?
Well, it's surreal in a lot of ways. I would say the first 24 hours of taking a job, it was crazy. My family and friends, coming to the press conference and those types of things. Since then, you really don't have a whole lot of time to focus on. I mean, you're too busy doing the job. But I will say, when you get a chance to get up in front of people like this and get into this event and talk about it, it kind of makes you really kind of think about what's going on and why it is so personal to you and those types of things. And like I said, you're doing it in front of other people that care just as much as you do. So I don't really ever think about that, throughout my workday, my normal workday, but I think getting up and talking about it and expressing it, it probably comes more to the forefront of how I'm feeling, but that's just kind of who I am with a lot of things. I hear people's stories, I read stories. A guy last week wrote an unbelievable story in Altoona about my mom on Mother's Day, and I didn't see it. A friend of mine, said, "Did you see the article? It's a really good article." And I read it. It was a really good article, and that kind of got me going again. I had to kind of fight it off, but nobody was around to see that, so it's okay.
James, I have a recruiting question. Reports are that you're doing very well in recruiting. I know you can't say anything about how many guys you got or whatever, but given the scholarship limitations, do you see more kids committing to you than you have spots for, and how would you handle something like that if it happened?
Yeah, that's going to be a real issue, and it really has been for probably the last month or so. I wish we had 45 scholarships to give out. We don't, which is a little bit of a shame because we got great momentum right now, and there's a lot of people that want to be a part of what we're doing and where we're going. So that's a good position to be in. We want to be in this position every year where there's a lot of good players that want to come. What you don't want to be at the end of the process and you're scrambling to find guys for those last few spots. So that's just part of it. That's just part of it, but we have open and honest conversations with the high school coaches and the parents and the kids, and they kind of understand that. The positive thing, I think, in a lot of ways is the guys that we're recruiting, they have a lot of options. So it's not like if it doesn't work out at Penn State, they don't have other options. You know, when I first got into this business, at the Kutztowns and the East Stroudsburgs of the world, you know, that may be the only, you know, opportunity they had. And I loved that part of it, that you were really offering an opportunity to a kid. You know, so it's a little bit different, but, you know, we're just upfront and honest. And I think people really understand when they think about it. You know, just because you offered 15 quarterbacks, that doesn't mean you're going to take all 15. You know, there's quotas by position. And I think people, you know, people understand. It hasn't been announced. You guys will probably hear next week. We will be holding a camp in every state this summer. We're going to do 50 states. But no, you know, right now, just kind of what we had planned. You know, our thought was, again, you know, the Big Ten and NCAA rules allow you to do these things, and you know, we wanted to not only have camps on our campus, which we're going to have a bunch of them, but also be able to maybe take the Penn State brand and be able to take it to a part of the country that maybe young men and families wouldn't be able to make it to our place, take it to them. And you know, I'm fired up about it. It seems like the high school coaches are as well. And like I said to you guys, I think from day one that we were going to recruit regionally and take a lot of pride in recruiting regionally, but we're also going to have a presence nationally. We're going to go wherever we have to go to find players. And we're going to read the rules, and we're going to understand the rules, and you know, we're going to, you know, like you guys have heard me say before, it's not like we're going to, you know, we're going to lack for enthusiasm, we're going to lack for work ethic. You know, we'll go wherever we got to go. One year I went and did a camp in Anchorage, Alaska. When I was at Idaho State, we did a camp for all the city schools in Anchorage. So I'm not sure if we'll be doing that one this summer, but you know, we're excited about, you know, the ones we're doing.
I read a story. I was kind of amazed at this, and I didn't realize it, but the last 6 NFL drafts, this is a story done in Omaha yesterday. The last 6 NFL drafts and the top 10 picks in each of those 6 drafts, not one guy from the Big Ten. Does that surprise you? And not only that, but the guy extrapolated the data a little more to find out where the kids were from, where the 17, 18-year-olds were from, where their hometown was. 2 from the Big Ten footprint, 36 from the SEC footprint among those 60 players. I'm sure you guys know everything about recruiting and where the talent is, and that's why you're doing what you're doing. But how do you fix that? You just go down and try to get those kids, or what?
Well, I think, first of all, we look at the same things. Every year, we do studies. We do studies on where the talent is coming from. Division I scholarship athletes. We do studies on the draft. We do studies on measurables. So every year I do a study on what's the average hand size at the NFL Combine of a wide receiver. You know, for each position we do that. Arm length, all these things. Because I'm trying to kind of understand
What works.
Yeah, what works and why certain guys are successful or not. And then obviously your own history. You know, why have some guys been successful and other guys haven't? So you're always trying to study and try to find some things. You know, I think if you look in general, you just study in numbers. I think if you look at Texas, California, and Florida, you know, I think you're talking about somewhere between 250 plus up to 350 Division I athletes a year. You look at, you know, Pennsylvania, for example, I think we're on average around 35 Division I, you know, football players a year. So just numbers alone. I think the most important thing is getting the right ones. You know, I've been a lot of places too where you say, if you could just find the best players that ended up going to 1AA and being 1AA All-Americans, you can make a heck of a team off of those guys. You know, I looked at Bloomsburg. I think Bloomsburg had a couple guys drafted. So I think the most important thing is finding the right guys. And then I think the other thing is where those places become valuable as well that we just discussed is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So if you drive an hour, you know, in either direction, how many Division I players are you going to see?